¿Qué pasa? What's up? Antonio here, and today I have a magical character video just for you. I'm in a different place, I'm in a different setting. I am in Seville, right? Because my girlfriend is here continue with her studies, right, to be a teacher. I don't know exactly how you would say that in English. I know that the system is completely different, but now she's studying to become a teacher in public schools, right? And here in Spain you have to do very difficult exams to obtain that job, to obtain that position. So she's studying and she has her academy or things like that, like her coach, her teacher for that, here in Sevilla. So I am taking advantage of this free time right here, filming videos. And this video is going to be a magical character. I am going to talk about one of my favorite comedians. I would say the best comedian alive right now. Like Kevin Hart says, the baddest person to touch a microphone right now, Dave Chappelle. What an outstanding guy. I think I have very little to say to introduce this guy, so let's get started. And if this is the first magical character video that you are seeing, basically I take a celebrity, a famous person, and I start talking about tips that we can learn, that we can extract from this celebrity that could help us to become better magicians. So without further ado, let's get, I don't know if this chair is going to turn around nice. Okay, so let's get started. Woo! No, I don't like that. Okay, pretty bad. Okay, one of the first tips that I love about Dave Chappelle is being a good storyteller. And not simply being a good storyteller, being a person that people want to be around, being a person that when you open your mouth, people go like, shh, 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 he's talking. That's great. That's great. A lot of the times we magicians feel that people respect us and people love to see us, people love to listen to us, but in fact people like to do that because they know that they are going to obtain a mystery, they are going to obtain a magic trick, right? And it is quite sad. I really hate it when you see magicians going to TV shows, interviews and things like that, and I don't get to know the person, I don't get to know the celebrity, I don't get to know his life. I simply see the person doing magic tricks, right? And this is something quite usual. Juan Tamariz right now is quite unusual to see him on television in Spain, but when he was on television doing interviews and stuff like that, probably like 5 minutes into the routine, they were like, into the interview, they were like, okay, do a trick, please. Okay, show us a trick. And he obviously wanted to do a trick and it is great, but I feel like you must be interesting because of you. Once the audience likes you, right? If the audience loves you, it doesn't matter what you do, right? And a lot of the times, magicians, we only focus about the magic. We only care about the magic in itself, right? And it is very interesting if we can entertain people without the magic. And Dave Chappelle is a comedian. You would say, okay, it's easy for Dave Chappelle to be entertaining without magic tricks because he's not a magician. Okay, a comedian needs jokes. A comedian needs jokes. Dave Chappelle can talk for an entire audience. To a crowd, they would be mesmerized and he wouldn't need a single joke. There are videos of him online talking about, I don't know, things that he thought of, like random thoughts that he has. There are videos of his, I think, talking about his process with his TV show and all the stuff, how he wanted to get that back for him and all that stuff. And there is not a single joke in those 30-40 minute videos, and everyone is mesmerized listening to this guy. So it is great to have the ability of being interesting without needing magic tricks. That's one of the major fears that I have, and I think that I explained this in other videos. One of the things that I fear the most is that people around me love me because of the things that I do and not because of the things that I am. right? I want people to love me because of who I am and not because of the things that I do. Like, okay, I do comedy, I do magic, I play instruments, I do balloon sculpture. So, okay, it's okay for a kid to be interested in me or to like me because I can do a balloon figure and give it to him. It's okay for a kid. But when we are talking about grown-ups, I want people to respect me as a person and love me as a person, not love the magician or the clown or the comedian. And Dave Chappelle knows perfectly how to do that. So work on being entertaining. And this is something that I've been talking with my girlfriend pretty recently, because she's obsessed with me having like a bigger stage decoration or things like that. She wants me to have like a backdrop for my shows with some kind of decorations on the sides, right, and things like that. And I'm like, no, that's not my style, that's not what I want. In most places where I perform anyway, I can bring that stuff, and I am working on my persona. Right? Working on bigger decorations and stuff like that can give you plenty of job to perform in hotels, to perform in the, schools, for example. But if you want to be a TV star, if you want to be a personality, your decoration doesn't matter. If you have a backdrop or if you don't have a backdrop, it doesn't matter. Because what is going to make you go to a TV show is being interesting. There you have no decorations, you have no whistles, you have no fireworks, it's you. And you must be interesting on your own. And that's what I've been working for, I would say, my whole career, but especially the last 5-6 years. People should go to the show to see me. If they love anything else, that's great, but they have to love me. And if they don't love me, they don't go to the show. But that's exactly what I want. I don't want people going to the show because they laugh with me, but they hate me. No, and that's something that Dave Chappelle does great. It doesn't matter how funny he is. If you don't like him, you can't see his show because his show is 100% him. And that's great. Okay, I love this next tip, and it could be extremely long, but I think that the fastest way to sum up this is think outside the box. As simple as that. Dave Chappelle is a comedian that thinks incredibly outside the box. It's mesmerizing for me how different his shows are, even though he is a pure stand-up comedian. He doesn't use props, he doesn't use costumes, he doesn't use even music, like music in the background or singing or songs. He's just a pure stand-up comedian, but he is so different. It's easy, more or less, be different if you use lightning and songs, for example, like Bo Burnham, or if you use interesting props, like for example, James Acaster or Tim Vine, another comedian that I love. Or it's easy to be different if you are a comedy magician, like Tommy Cooper or Carl Valentine, great acts. But when you are doing what everybody else does, which is take a microphone and talk, it's quite different, it's quite difficult to be different. And Dave Chappelle does this brilliantly. I love examples, like for example, in one of his shows, he compares the fight against people in Twitter with the fight of the cells inside his body because he had COVID with no symptoms. And you think about that, it's like, how on earth are you going to compare those two unrelated things? He does it, and he does it brilliantly. In one of his specials, you can see most of his work, I would say, on Netflix. In one of his specials, he has a joke backwards. He tells you the punchline, then he starts telling you the joke, and when you get to the punchline, it's like a double surprise because you knew the punchline, but you weren't expecting it, even though that you know it, where the punchline was. So he thinks outstandingly out of the box. It's incredible how much different stuff he can do, doing what every other comic does, which is taking a microphone and talking. So this is something great that we can do. This bit that he did, telling the punchline at the beginning, make me had an idea for a trick, which is do the end of a trick before the trick, like revealing the end of the effect, and then doing the trick, and when we get to the end, people get surprised, knowing, even if they knew what the end of the effect would be. And I have no idea how to do that. I have no idea how to do that, because there are some tricks. Handro, for example, in his last appearance on Full Ice, did something like that. But it's quite difficult, because in most cases what you do is like a prediction, but an open prediction. You are like, okay, this is the card, but I'm going to do the trick backwards, so I am going to show you what the card is, and you show the 3 of hearts, and then you put it inside the envelope or whatever. And then someone chooses a card, and they show the card, and when they show the card, when they see that the card that the spectator chose is the 3 of hearts, the trick is over. Right? The trick is over. You did the trick the other way around. Instead of having a card picked and then revealing the prediction, you reveal the prediction and then you have the card picked. But what I want to do is, this is an example, show the prediction, have the card picked, people see what the card is picked, and they forgot about the prediction. And when I show the prediction, people are like, oh my god, we didn't even remember that. It's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult to make people feel amazed, to surprise people with something that they know that is coming, right? And that's why Dave Chappelle is such a genius. I am trying to do something like that in a trick. It's quite difficult to do, but it's basically that, thinking outside the box. I can spend like the whole day here talking about his outstanding jokes and how his lateral thinking works, but I think that the best thing that you can do is watch his specials, but with a notebook and a pencil, and start writing like, oh my god, this is so different because of this, and this is so intelligent because of that. Yeah, you have to do some work to understand this guy. Master. Okay, third tip. This is something that I told about other celebrities, other magical characters, but for this guy it's great, and it fits him like a glove, and it is take risks. I've talked about this, talking about other magical characters, but it is outstanding how much risk he can take. There are certain comedians, Bill Burr, Jimmy Carr, people that can walk like the line where the line is, the line that separates things that you can say and things that you cannot say. There is like a very thin line in the middle, and the comedians that I loved are the comedians that can walk on that line like boop, boop, boop. And Dave Chappelle can even take the foot and put it a little bit inside, like in a swimming pool, like inside of the section of things that you cannot say, like oh, no, just a little bit, and it is great, and I miss that kind of risk, that kind of commitment in magic. Most comedy acts, you can see them, Penn and Teller are a little bit more edgy and stuff like that, but most magicians are quite normal. They don't want people to think, and by normal I mean regular, they don't want to make people uncomfortable, and if we make people uncomfortable, we make people uncomfortable at a visceral level, like when we do like Russian roulette or blockhead, the nail on the nose, but very few magicians make people uncomfortable with the things they are saying, and I think that's very interesting. I think that's very, yeah, you would be like a completely different magician compared with other people. You obviously need to be working at a very particular space to be able to do that material, but you don't even have to say offensive things or stuff like that, but do things that most people could never imagine a magician doing, and you doing those things and people finding it interesting or even finding it appropriate is going to be great. Doing things that in other magicians would be like, oh my god, he really did that? Or I'm never seeing that guy again. But if you do it, it's like, oh my god, he did that? I must go to his next show. I have to see that. If you can become the guy that can do that stuff that is so weird that anybody else can do because it is so risky, so edgy, that's great. And that's 100% a very small fraction, but 100% one of the reasons why Dave Chappelle is Dave Chappelle. Because he's the one that can do his material. The only one that can do it. Let's take a look at the last tip. Okay, and for the last tip, we're going to get a little bit more emotional, a little bit more serious, and it is know your place. Every time that I heard or read anything related with Dave Chappelle and what happened to him with this Dave Chappelle show, the Chappelle show, right? with the sketches and the scripts and the show. He wasn't receiving any money, and he was the star, and he was one of the writers of the show. Every time that I heard the story of everything that happened to him and how more or less they tricked him into signing the contract and all that stuff, and when they offer him, I think it was like $50 million very long ago, and he refused that money and he walked away. It is great, and what he says in the interviews is, you have to know your place. You have to know how much you are worth. You have to know your place, and when you receive more money than the amount of money that you think that you are worth, you have to go away. You have to suspect. You have to say, there is something wrong here. And he was right. He was 100% right, because when he walked off, he had this whole bureaucratic nightmare of signing papers, this TV show that was still running, and even on Netflix, but he wasn't getting paid. So know your place, know how much you are worth, and be very careful with the people that promise you more than the amount that you think that you deserve, right? It's quite difficult, because when we talk about show business, we always talk about think big. It's you have to go big or go home. We talk about business, right? Show business is a small s and a capital, a lowercase s for show, and a capital letter B for business, because it's more important the business than the show. We always talk about those stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like, you must feel comfortable. And the only way to feel comfortable is knowing your worth. And it's very easy, I would say, to know how much you are worth when they are not valuing you, right? Let's say that you think that you are worth $1 million, but for now you are getting paid $500 per show. Okay, you think that one day, eventually, you would earn $1 million for a show. That's easy. What's truly difficult, what is truly difficult, is people giving money to you like, please take this $50 million because you are worth this amount of money for us, and you going, no, I am worth $1 million. If you are offering me more than that, there is something wrong, something bad, something shady in there. That's very difficult to do. That's quite difficult, a very difficult thing to do. And knowing that declining that offer could cause more problems. It's quite easy to say, okay, I've got my money, I'm going to shut up, I'm going to do what they want. No, it doesn't matter if there's going to be more problems. You must know your value, how much you are worth, and continue with that. And if that brings you performing in smaller venues or in other shows, it doesn't matter, because you are doing what you want to do. As simple as that. So what a true master Dave Chappelle is. Right now I'm going on Netflix and watch one of his shows, because I never get tired. I love the Bird Revelation. It's not even like an hour long, it's like 45-50 minutes long on Netflix, and it is extremely funny, like in a comedy club, and you see like this star in a very small, very normal looking comedy club killing all those people in there. It's simply amazing. What a true master. So guys, I hope that you found this information useful. Please subscribe, comment below, and I will see you as always in a near future. Bye there.